A while ago, the Oscars introduced a new set of standards and rules about diversity requirements for a film to even be considered eligible. And we've been seeing online some questions about whether Oppenheimer's even going to be eligible for the Oscars. And that is the topic of today's Mint Mobile Hotline question of the day. Listen, guys, if you've got a topic or a question for the show and love to hear your voice on it, go ahead and call the hotline anytime 24/7 at 951-268-4259. Every day we'll pick out one or two of those questions. And again, today is about, is Oppenheimer even eligible for the Oscars? Check it out.
Hi, John and crew. This is Jason Kaufman. I've been hearing, a lot of people speculate that Oppenheimer will get all the Oscars, but I've been hearing Oppenheimer may not be eligible due to diversity requirements because they didn't have enough diverse cast on the screen. I'm wondering if there should be an exemption for historical accuracy. What do you guys think?
All right, Jason, thanks a lot for calling that in. And I got to tell you, even though it's not talked a lot about, this is one of the most misunderstood concepts in movies, and people perpetuate this idea and this myth. So the thing that's kind of going around, you've probably seen it happening in some discussions, is that Oppenheimer's not even going to be eligible for the Oscars because guess what? Not a lot of diversity on screen in Oppenheimer. Not a bunch there. Guess what? That time in America, there wasn't a bunch of diversity in anything that was being done. So, and there's been some suggestions going around that the Oscars had passed these new rules that unless you have diversity, you can't be eligible for the Oscars. And there is a nugget of truth in that, but it is one nugget amongst a quarry of stones. In other words, there's a lot more to it. I'm going to basically say this. The diversity rules, and we're going to look at them here in a second, that the Oscars have put into place are basically so lenient that you would pretty much have to deliberately try to not be eligible for the Oscars, not to pass these. Okay, let's look at this. The Oscars put out a set of standards. All right, let's bring up that first one, Jonathan. And really, the basic rule says this, is that for your movie to be eligible for the Oscars, you must, when it comes to diversity and stuff, your movie has to meet two of the following four standards. We'll call them Standard A regarding actors, Standard B regarding crew, Standard C regarding companies, and Standard D regarding executives. You do not have to meet all of these. You only got to meet two. And even within each of the standards, there's many different ways for you to qualify. So if you get Standard C and Standard D, your film's eligible. You get Standard A and Standard C, you're eligible. Any of the two. And you can miss the other two. And again, within each of these standards, there's multiple ways to get it. Let's start off with Standard A, the actors. This is the one that most people focus on and think it's the only thing, and why some people wonder if Oppenheimer's even going to be eligible. Okay, Standard A, actors. This standard can be met in one of three ways. There's three different ways you can meet this standard. Number one, either one lead or significant supporting character is from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Number two, at least 30% of the acting ensemble is from at least two underrepresented groups: women, LGBTQ community, disabled or deaf people, or people from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. So basically anybody, as long as you got 30% of your cast, it doesn't even matter if they're leads or not, is anybody but straight white males, you're good. And then third, storyline centers on an underrepresented group. Okay. So to get Standard A, let's say 5 of your main characters, so your 2 leads and say 3 significant supporting characters. If any one of them is gay, if any one of them is black, if any one of them is Latino, if any one of them is from Pakistan, if any one of those 5, you got Standard A. Even if none of your leads are, if 30% of your overall ensemble is either made up of women, deaf characters, physically handicapped characters, ethnic minority characters, 1 out of every 3, less than 1 out of every 3. It says 30%, not 33. You're good. You're covered. So Even just in the actor thing, it's not difficult to get the actor check mark. But again, you don't need to have standard A. You only got to get 2 out of the 4, A, B, C, or D. So clearly, guess what? Oppenheimer, not going to get standard A. And not surprising considering the era and the subject matter of the movie. It's not going to get standard A. But that's not a problem, because then there's standard B. Standard B talks about crew. I want you to really grasp how ridiculously easy it is for any movie to get this one. Films must meet any one of the following 3 criteria. You don't have to get all of them, just one of the following 3. At least 2 creative leaders or department heads, including casting directors, cinematographers, composers, and more, must be from an underrepresented group. Okay, I want you to understand how many, they don't even just say department heads, leaders or department heads. You need to understand how many a major film, how many departments they have. It's a lot. There are a lot of leaders. I would say, I did some rough numbers in my head. I'd say any one of a major film, a movie that had a budget of like 40 million or more, is going to have at least 15 roles that kind of fall under this, because it doesn't even just have to be departments. You got music, costuming, camera, like there's all these departments in a movie, but you don't even have to be one of the department's heads. You can be one of the leaders in that. I'd say minimum 15 to 20 people could qualify for that. And how many have to be from an underrepresented group? 2. Just 2. And you got a 75% chance just that your costuming person is going to be a woman. And then you got 1 left. You would honestly have to try to make sure you have no minorities in your company at all in order not to get this. But by the way, that's only 1. Check out the next 2. Must be from an underrepresented. Okay. Or number 2, at least 6 crew or technical positions must be from an underrepresented group. Do you know how big a movie crew is? Do you have any, sit through the credits on a movie? You got to have at least 6 crew or technical positions from an underrepresented group. Good luck not making this criteria. And then number 3, or at least 30% of the crew must be from an underrepresented group. All that means is out of every 10 members of a crew, if you've got 7 out of those 10 are straight white males, you're good, because that means 3 aren't. But really, it's those first 2 parts of that makes standard B an automatic gimme. It's they're just giving that out like participation awards. You get standard B, no problem. Oppenheimer does qualify for standard B. So now it only needs 1 more standard. So let's look at standard C, which by the way is also an automatic gimme. This is regarding companies. You get the credit for standard C if the film's production, distribution, or financing, not and, or any one of those 3. If a film's production, distribution, or financing companies offers paid internships or apprenticeships and training opportunities for people from underrepresented groups. Guess what? Just about every major production, distribution, and finance companies in the business has one of those. They don't all, but most of them do. So when you're making a movie, either your production company that's putting the movie together, the distribution company that's then taking the movie and putting it out to the world, or the financing company that puts up the money for the movie made, if any one of those 3 companies has an internship program for people from underrepresented groups, and almost all of them do, your movie gets the check mark for standard C. Standards B and C are practically automatic gimmies, and all you need is the 2 and you're done. But it's not. There's even more. If for some unimaginable reason, like there's some mathematical improbability, you don't get standard B and you don't get standard C, then there's still standard D. Executives. The film studio, this has nothing to do with the movie, but the film studio has multiple. That's the word. Multiple. That means anything more than 1. The film studio must have multiple senior executives from underrepresented groups on its marketing, publicity, or distribution teams. Do you know how many vice presidents Paramount Studio has? It's a lot.
Too many.
They've got a lot of vice presidents. That's not to mention executive vice presidents, senior vice presidents, presidents. They have a lot. And all you got to say is you got more than one. That's it. And I think they all do. I think all of them have it. So it's pretty easy. Let's bring up the first chart again. It's pretty easy to get standard A. It's not difficult to get standard A, the actors one. But you're going to come across a movie like Oppenheimer that, because of the context and the period that it's set in, it might be difficult to do that. But for most movies, it's pretty easy to get A. Not automatic, but pretty easy. But it doesn't matter if you don't get it. You can make a movie called Barry McWhite in the World of Whitey Whites, and you can still easily qualify. That's the name of my memoir, by the way. And you can still easily qualify because B's an automatic, C's an automatic, and D is pretty much an automatic. You just got to get 2 out of the 4. So the answer to your question, amongst all the discussion you see going around that, oh man, I don't think Oppenheimer even qualifies for the Oscars this year. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, DraftKings. College football fans, are you ready for week 1? DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Anything can happen in college football. Your team could go from unranked to dynasty mode in just a couple of years because change comes fast. The only thing that's a lock is the great offers from DraftKings Sportsbook. Life's more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code Campea. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Campea. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See dkng.co/football for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. And Rob, I've said this before. I remember we did a video about this when the Oscars first implemented this. And I remember said at the time, and I still stand by it, this is really a rule that is set against an extreme. You would literally have to be a movie that is intentionally trying to not make eligibility. And you could accidentally meet the eligibility requirements here. I don't know. But you see these. What do you think about this whole thing and the question about Oppenheimer?
Well, look, I think you're absolutely right. I've been on a lot of movie sets, big movie sets, and they're a pretty diverse place anyway. I mean, production is different than, say, the executive suites, you know, and production has a great representation of all of humanity. You've got the white collar producers that are worried about money and time, like I gotta step it up. And then you've got the blue collar, like the guys that grip and electric departments. And then you've got the flamboyant departments of costume and makeup and hair and all that. So there's a pretty diverse group of people in production. And that's what makes it fun. That's why I love working in production. And I like the fact that what I think this really says is there's a lot of people from underrepresented groups that don't even think that they can go into movie making as a career. You know, because like maybe their background doesn't let them dream like that. You have to be crazy to want to go into movies because it's so hard anyway. So what I like about this is it shows that Hollywood has an open door. Like, hey, you want to be one of the crazy people that makes movies or tries to make movies? You can come because the more the merrier. You know, we don't want to stop anybody from trying to achieve those dreams. But I can tell you, they will grind you down, make you turn you into dust. And it is a long road, lonely and hard. But no, I think it's good that we have these. And like you pointed out, there's so many different ways to fulfill these requirements. And at the end of the day, I mean, I love seeing all different kinds of people come into the business that have different stories to tell, that have different skill sets. It makes everybody stronger at the end of the day.
Yeah. And the reason why I agree with these and why I say they're really just a protection against an extreme point of view is that, I'm sorry, but if you are a movie studio that has, say, 24 executives and none of them are women, I'm sorry, but you've got some prejudice built in because I get it. One job, okay, went to the guy. That's fine. Second job went to the guy. Okay, that's fine. Third, okay. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. At some point, it becomes questionable.
Yeah.
about that. And I think
Are you doing
that's
this on
just-
purpose?
yeah, and that might be a little bit on purpose at that point. But again, the whole thing about crews, about like how many department heads are there in a major film and leaders within that department. And guess what? I think a good percentage of them end up being women, people of minority.
Yeah.
I just, they set up, I think these are common sense rules, sit there to protect against an extreme situation. And they're very easy for any movie to get. So
It's true.
hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.